And right beside Paulette, she has the first gift I bought her in Indonesia. This is our boat, Rimba Queen. Boats are called Clotucks. And this is the river. Here we have Eddy, our guide, at the Rimba Lodge here. We're about to leave this little town where we flew into, and we're going to go up the river. Okay.
Welcome to Tanjung National Park.
Thank you very much.
And I introduce you to our boat crew. He is Aris, our river boat assistant.
Okay.
And our our captain is Yunus.
Howdy.
Yeah, Yunus. And there is one girl downstairs. It's our cook. Name's Uchu.
Okay, Uchu too.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, we're ready.
Okay.
We're ready whenever you are.
Okay, adventure begins.
Okay, great. Style. They have already served lunch for us here on the boat, and I guess so. We're ready to eat. Okay, we're ready to take off here. They just started the Clotok motor. These boats are called Clotoks. Okay, we're just pulling away from the dock here.
Here's where we're gonna enter the river, the Sekonyer River. So the national park is on the right side when we're there.
Famous for its orangutan conservation work, Tanjung Puting National Park is a national park in Indonesia located in the southeast part of West Kota Waringin Regency in the Indonesian province of Central Borneo. The nearest main town is the capital of the regency, PANGKALAN. The park is composed of 416,040 hectares of dryland dipterocarp forest, peat swamp forest, heath forest, mangrove and coastal beach forest, and secondary forest. Friends of the National Parks Foundation is an Indonesian NGO that has been working to restore the habitat in the Pasalat and Buguru regions of the park since 1997. It also operates a conservation education center in Pasalat. 4 research centers have been established within the park for the study and rehabilitation of orangutans and other primates. Camp Leakey, founded in 1971 with assistance from the Leakey Foundation, was the first of these centers. It was here where Dr. Beirut Galgulus began her career studying the behavior of rescued and orphaned orangutans that were reintroduced into the wild. Her research was highlighted as the cover article of National Geographic in October 1975. Dr. Galgulus is now considered one of the world's leading experts on orangutan behavior and is the founder and president of the Orangutan Foundation. Orangutans and proboscis monkeys, the park is also home to gibbons, macaques, clouded leopards, sun bears, wild boars, porcupines, and sambar deer. The park also features many reptiles, including crocodiles, monitor lizards, and pythons. It also includes birds, such as hornbills and kingfishers, and many insects, such as the giant Bornean butterfly. Was heavily damaged by fires in 1997 and 1998, and today remains threatened by illegal logging, illegal mining, and forest clearing for agricultural uses. Conservation efforts by Indonesian NGO Friends of the National Parks Foundation is leading towards a slow but progressive reforestation of damaged areas.
On both sides. Sometimes we can spot crocodile along this river. But we have 5 different kind of monkeys here.
About 10 minutes up the river towards the lodge we're headed for, we find a wild orangutan right near the river's edge. We see it here center screen. It is the reddish-brown, furry type object amongst the palms. And here we can see the right hand of the orangutan. And we continue our trek up the river towards the Rimba Lodge. From the mouth of the river, it takes about 3 hours by boat to reach the lodge. We soon encounter a commonly seen primate in Tanjung National Park, the Proboscis monkey. This is a long-nosed monkey known as the bekantan in Indonesia. It has a reddish-brown color, and it's endemic only to the island of Borneo. Of course, it coexists with the Bornean orangutan. This monkey also goes by the Malay name Monyet Belanda, meaning Dutch monkey, or even Orang Belanda, Dutchman. Indeed, the Indonesians remarked that the Dutch colonizers often had similarly large bellies and noses, like the Proboscis monkey. Feeding camp and research center or rehabilitation orangutans, and Eddy, our guide, is going to open the door so we release the hanging parrots. I'm not sure which species of hanging parrots they are, but he's going to release them. Okay, Eddy.
It's called a blue hanging parrot.
Okay, blue hanging parrot. These were Eddy, excellent, very good. Those are the hanging parrots that have been returned to the forest. Yeah.
Feel great. Yeah.
So we returned something to the forest, and the forest has already returned a wild orangutan to us, so looks like good karma here.
Good karma.
We have just stopped at one of 3 different orangutan research centers located along the river. At each of these, there is an orangutan feeding station in which bananas are given to the orangutans. And so this brings up an interesting question. To what degree are these truly wild orangutans? And the general consensus is that these are not considered the fully wild orangutans such as we just saw. They are, to a greater or lesser extent, somewhat habituated to human presence. Now, some of these orangutans are old enough that they go back to the 1970s, the time at which Dr. Galgulus was acquiring some of the wild-caught baby orangutans that had been taken as pets and then returning them to the wilds of the forest. These orangutans, of course, eventually learned to live as more or less fully wild orangutans, but they were habituated to human beings. They reproduced in the jungle, and their children had offspring, and so we have about 4 or 5 generations of orangutans that are either born to originally rehabilitated orangutans, or a rehabilitated orangutan and a fully wild orangutan, or to the progeny of any variation of the above. The point, of course, is that these orangutans oftentimes are more used to people and better able to tolerate the presence of the people. Now, this is very good for conservation because people can come to the park and be able to see an orangutan. It may not be, in a philosophical sense, a fully wild one, but it is nonetheless an orangutan that is more or less functioning as nature had intended it. Indeed, the orangutans in Tanjung National Park do not depend upon the bananas for their survival. Rather, the bananas are there to lure some of the orangutans in so that tourists can see them on a regular basis. It is, after all, visiting tourists that bring money for support of the park and support of the surrounding local community. In this way, the tourists give the local community and the people running the park a financial reason to preserve the orangutan and the other associated wildlife in the park. Note the large cheek flanges on this mature male orangutan. This individual was captured as a baby, and at about 8 years old, he was returned to the forest. We can see that he has learned very well how to function in the forest. He still likes to come for the banana feedings, but he has become what is probably the dominant male in this area, and he will probably father many orangutan babies over the years, insofar as he remains healthy. This time of the year, July, sees more of these orangutans coming to these feeding stations because the natural fruits upon which they feed are not so abundant at this time of the year. And again, we make the point that these orangutans, were they not to receive these supplemental bananas, would still survive just fine in the forest. Certainly there is enough naturally occurring food to easily sustain the orangutan population in this park. However, if it is fully wild orangutans that one wishes to see either within or near the Tanjung National Forest, we found during our 7-day stay here that indeed that is very possible, for we saw 10 such fully wild orangutans during our stay here. And here we see the dominant male orangutan having gotten his fill, leaving the feeding station and heading back into the forest for the night. Known for their distinctive red fur, orangutans are the largest arboreal mammal, spending most of their time in the trees. Long, powerful arms and grasping hands and feet allow them to move through the branches of those trees. These great apes share 96.4% of our genes and are very, very intelligent creatures. The name orangutan means man of the forest in the Malay language. In the lowland forests in which they reside, orangutans live solitary existences. They feast on wild fruits such as lychees, mangosteens, and figs, and they slurp water from holes in trees and also from the river. They make nests in trees of vegetation to sleep at night and rest during the day. Adult male orangutans can weigh up to 280 pounds. Flanged males have prominent cheek pads called flanges and a throat sac used to make loud verbalizations called long calls. An unflanged male looks like an adult female. In biological phenomenon unique to primates, an unflanged male can change to a flanged male through processes that are not yet fully understood. The two species of orangutan, Bornean and Sumatran, differ a little in appearance and behavior. While both have shaggy reddish fur, Sumatran orangutans have longer facial hair. Sumatran orangutans are reported to have closer social bonds than their Bornean cousins. Bornean orangutans are more likely to descend from trees to move around on the ground. Both species have experienced sharp population declines. A century ago, there were probably more than 230,000 orangutans in total, but the Bornean orangutan is now estimated to number about 45,000 to 69,000, making it endangered, while the Sumatran orangutan numbers about 7,500 individuals, making it critically endangered. Looking at the slender arms of the orangutans, one might be tempted to conclude that these animals are not especially powerful. However, as they can wield their bodies weighing as adults from 100 to 280 pounds around the forest trees very effectively, one can readily see that these are very powerful animals. It has been estimated that the muscle power of an orangutan can be about 5 to 7 times that of an adult male human being. Male and female orangutans generally come together only to mate. Subadult males, which are unflanged, will try to mate with any female and will be successful about half the time. Dominant flanged males will call and advertise their position to receptive females who prefer mating with flanged males. Adult males will often target females with weaned infants as mating partners because the female is likely to be fertile. Females reach sexual maturity and experience their first ovulatory cycle between about 6 and 11 years of age, although females with more body fat may experience this at an earlier age. The estrous cycle lasts between 22 and 30 days, and menopause has been reported in captive orangutans at about age 48. Females tend to give birth at about 14 to 15 years of age. Newborn orangutans nurse every 3 to 4 hours and begin to take soft food from their mother's lips by 4 months. During the first year of its life, the young clings to its mother's abdomen by entwining its fingers in and gripping her fur. Offspring are weaned at about 4 years, but this could be much longer, and soon after they start their adolescent stage of exploring, but always within sight of their mother. During this period, they will also actively seek other young orangutans to play with and travel with. In history, orangutans ranged throughout Southeast Asia and into southern China, as well as on the island of Java and in southern Sumatra. They primarily inhabited peat swamp forests, tropical heath forests, and mixed dipterocarp forests. Bornean orangutan are more solitary than their Sumatran relatives. 2 or 3 orangutans with overlapping territories may interact, but only for short periods of time. Although orangutans are not territorial, adult males will display threatening behaviors upon meeting other males, and only socialize with females to mate. Males are considered the most solitary of the orangutans. The Bornean orangutan has a lifespan of 35 to 45 years in the wild. In captivity, it can live as many as 60 years. Despite being arboreal, the Bornean orangutan travels on the ground more than the Sumatran counterpart. This may be in part because no large terrestrial predators could threaten an orangutan in Borneo. In Sumatra, on the other hand, orangutans must face predation by the fierce Sumatran tiger. Seen here is the Silvery Lutung. It is a medium-sized monkey with a long, non-prehensile tail. It is found across Borneo and Sumatra, as well as in parts of the southwestern Malay Peninsula, the Natuna Islands, and other nearby islands. It inhabits mangrove swamps and nearby forest regions, and generally avoids traveling far from coasts or rivers. Like other langurs, the Silvery Lutung has a large 3-chambered stomach to digest the cellulose found in its herbivorous diet. This allows for fermentation of food and has some similarities with the stomach of ruminants. The intestine is unusually long, even compared to those of other langurs, and has a number of pouches along its length, which carry out further fermentation of plant matter. The teeth have grinding ridges and other modifications to allow the more efficient processing of tough leaves. Silver langurs. And we're coming into Rimba Lodge, our home for the next 6 nights. And a good part of the days too is.
Hello. How are you? Fine.
Rimba Orangutan Nicola. Hi, hi.
Welcome to Rimba Lodge. My name is Eddy. Nice to meet you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome, please.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you. Very excellent. Thank you so much.
Going to our room now. Beckenton, Proboscis Monkeys.
Please come in. Here. Here.
Oh, nice air conditioner too. The long-tailed or crab-eating macaques live in social groups that contain 3 to 20 females, their offspring, and one or many males. The groups usually have fewer males than females. In social groups of macaques, a clear dominance hierarchy is seen among females. These ranks remain stable throughout the female's lifetime and also can be sustained through generations of matrilineage. The social groups of macaques are female bonded, meaning the males will disperse at the time of puberty. Thus, group relatedness on average appears to be lower than compared to matrilineage. More differences in relatedness occurs when comparing high-ranking lineages to low-ranking lineages, with higher-ranking individuals being more closely related to one another. Additionally, groups of dispersing males born into the same social groups display a range of relatedness, at times appearing to be brothers, while at other times appearing to be unrelated. The body length of the adult varies among different macaque subspecies. Males are considerably larger than females, weighing 11 to 20 pounds compared to about 7 to 13 pounds for the females.
Very rare. See them standing at a really nice spot like that. Normally we only see them flying a couple.
The first morning out on the Klotok heading up the river to Camp Leakey, we encounter a fully wild female orangutan and her baby.
It's a great egret, right?
Right. The false gharial, also known as the Malayan gharial and Sunda gharial, or the Tomistoma, is a freshwater crocodilian with a very thin and elongated snout. It is listed as vulnerable by the IUCN, since the population is estimated at less than 2,500 mature individuals. False gharials are native to peninsular Malaysia, Sarawak, Sumatra, and Borneo, but were extirpated in Thailand. It is unclear if they remain in Java.
This is a false gharial.
Adult false gharial crocodiles get much larger than the juvenile individuals we are seeing here. Adult females have been recorded at lengths of 13 feet 1 inch, while adult males have been recorded at lengths up to 16 feet 5 inches. Gibbons are lesser apes. Unlike other gibbon species, Mueller's Bornean gibbon does not show sexual dimorphism in its fur coloration. Its fur is gray or brown colored with a ring of bright fur around its face. On the head, it often has a darkly colored cap. Weighing between 10 and 20 pounds, it ranks among the smaller of the gibbon species. Mueller's Bornean gibbon is endemic to the island of Borneo, inhabiting the northern and eastern part of the island. Gray gibbons are diurnal rainforest dwellers, characterized by the long arms that all gibbons have. They live together in monogamous pairs and defend their family territory against intruders with long, loud singing. Their diet consists primarily of fruits.
Captain, we're coming into Camp Leakey here. Camp Leakey.
Some rules.